Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs, and today we are looking at Onyx, the Infected Hunter. At least that's his temporary name. I don't really know yet. But this is such a cool commission that I've had the pleasure of working on. And honestly, I've been working on this for like 8 months, maybe a little bit more, and just really taking the time to develop this character and make something really, really unique. So the idea behind this guy is that he's been infected with this alien parasite. It's very symbiote, very prototype, very Resident Evil-esque, but it's slowly taking over his body, giving him some very, very unique abilities. But at the same time, he doesn't know that as a parasite, its goal is to spread and consume and will eventually end up killing him. He does not have a symbiotic relationship with this, but he doesn't fully realize its harmful effects yet. I wanted to have a hunter who had some pets with him for tracking and a really interesting bond between them through this parasite or through this infection. So diving into it, as you can see, we have quite a slew of alternate heads, alternate accessories, and 2 pets to come with him. So this is based on the Crow Mezco figure. There's a lot of reuse here, but a lot of stuff that we've added on, shifted around as well. So diving into, I guess actually we'll dive into the accessories first, as per tradition. So popping off his alt head here, let's put the body off to the side and take a look at this one first. So this is our cowboy hat head. Ideally, it's posed like this, just the brim barely covering the eyes. He's got this nice, real creepy smile. But when you come in and reveal it, he's got some really punchy yellow eyes here. And actually, let me turn on my secondary light here so we can get a better look at this. So he's got these bright yellow eyes with these red veins coming out and that really, really creepy old smile. The idea for this one is that, and you'll notice with some of the other accessories here, we have a lot of yellow highlights. If my camera will focus, there we go. You can see we have a lot of yellow highlights in the heads and in the eyes of the animals. And so the idea is that this is part of the, this is indicative of the infection. So right here, we got his first smiling head. And the goal is that he's actually seen through his pet's eyes with this. And you can see the red veins sort of indicating where he's focusing his powers. And so he'd be standing off at a distance while his pets, while his crow and his wolf fly and run forward looking for his targets, and he's able to see through their eyes. So that's our very first head. So this is one of the crow heads here, and what I ended up doing is cutting and sanding along the edge of his head, and then I 3D printed this cowboy hat that we ended up pasting up on top to get this look. So I really, really like it, and on the figure itself, it's a super nice, I mean, you can see him like that. That's crazy. But even like that, I think that looks super nice. Really, really cool. So that's head numero uno. Putting that off to the side here, let's look at head numero dos. This is more of his, I guess I would say standard head sculpt maybe, if standard is even a word we can use for this guy. The goal for this one was really just to see the spread of the infection, and slowly see him start to change. So taking a closer look in here, we got a little bit of like a Cecil Stedman with the scarring right around the mouth there. And you can see that he's got some normal scars, but he's also got more of this red scar, this red veining that's starting to take over. And I really wanted to note that difference there is one is actually old wounds, and this other one is now this infection that's starting to spread across. And so it's taken over one of his eyes already. And obviously everything is placed on the left side as it's infecting through the arm or through the shoulder, up and around the body. So obviously running up the neck and across the left side of the face makes the most sense there. So here we go. That's the second head. A much calmer one, stern or stoic for number 2. Head number 3 now, we're going into more of a battle mask. His eye is actually whited out here, and you can see a little bit of pale blue under there. and I wanted it to make it look more like he was actually just fully seen out of this lens. Maybe he's using it to aim with his revolver, or he's using it to once again see. But this one is designed much more for like active combat and maybe protecting how he breathes, stuff like that. So diving in here, you can see we have the yellow eye again. We have some more dynamic white strands of hair. And then in terms of the battle mask, I wanted to really make it look like he's got some crazy gnarly teeth, sort of layering over this evolved, or this mutated face mask. So really getting that across, we can see some more red veining, and overall this black is actually muddled with some red and some green, following the color notes that the infection has. So taking that and putting it up here on the figure, I like this one a lot. Definitely has, sorry, the black felt popped up there. Definitely has a more combat, maybe almost Winter Soldier look to it. And I really, really like that about him. Get him in some combat poses here. We still keep full articulation. Check that out. That's pretty sweet. So there we go. That's head number 3 out of the way. And now, last but not least, and probably honestly my favorite head. This is one that I've teased on my story a couple times. Fully 3D modeled and sculpted for this guy. This is the final infection, or the final form head right here. This is a really, really crazy, nasty head, and the idea is that the infection has fully taken over the inside of his body and actually now burst out of his head. Somewhat inspired by like clickers from The Last of Us. My goal here was to actually show his head obviously in a much more decayed state, and really just a violent expression when the infection finally fully takes over. So you can see here that we were running with the 2 colors again, and the idea is actually that the green infection is symbiotic. It works with him. You can see it's fully integrated into his skin. It works very seamlessly with him. But then over time, he develops this substrain, or this secondary form, which is the red. And the red is actually the harmful one. It takes on much sharper properties, and it starts slowly weaving its way through the green to become much more aggressive. And so that expressed in the head here, you can see that the green tendrils burst out and grab and sort of open up the jaw and the head. And then you have the red ones that actually burst out, fully taking control with these yellow eye stalks here. So I really wanted to make this as sort of visceral as possible, so you can see that the tendrils have actually busted away part of the teeth, totally ripped and dislocated the jaw there. And then you have these green tendrils reaching around. And even this tone in the paint here, I wanted to have it almost a purplish blue color, and then dry brushed with a little bit more of this like ivory or bone white. And just that contrast there, you have more of like the dead, drained, or like necrotized skin. Is necrotized the right word? I don't even know. But you have more of that purplish blue dead skin up against the bone white. So definitely a layer of flesh still over the skull, but most of it has been eaten away now. So popping that up on the figure there, get a lot of height on him. Wow, I have to move him back a ton. There you go. Now you can see him. Very, very crazy looking head. Very dynamic tendrils. Super, super fun. Super, super cool. So I like this one. This is my personal favorite. I just think it's so, so gnarly. So there we go. Putting the figure off to the side, let's take a look at his pets now. So the first pet we're going to look at is actually the wolf. This is based off the Mezco timber wolf that came with snake eyes. 3D printed a new head for him, obviously, as well as hand sculpted in a bunch of this spine work along the back. So you can see that he's been infected and it's sort of evolving out from the spinal column. This head here, 3D modeled, I was really, really inspired by, I think it was Symbiote Lasher from the Carnage USA comic. Also turns out to be like a green dog. But in my case, I wanted to add, more of these bone spurs, these giant spikes or spines that we've been working with as a consistent design theme, as well as work with this multiple eyes look. I didn't want to have one single eye, but more these various ones that are picking up different angles as he's running around. For the jaw here, we have some gunmetal in the mouth, and it's just a really light gunmetal wash just to add this sheen to it and to make it look a little bit more unearthly. And then for the eyes here, you can see we have a nice mix of green, red, and yellow, sort of all muddled and marbling in there. I was thinking about doing a clean yellow for this guy, but I really like the muddled look. It has more of this little bloodlust and crazed look to it, which is what I really wanted for the wolf. This guy is hunting and very, very aggressive. And so keeping with that, not only do we have red inside the gums here, but we have red up along the edges of the mouth. Clearly he's been eating and chomping, and so now it started to drip down the neck and stain the fur, as well as stain the front paws, as you can see there. The rest is pretty simple. I did do some hand sculpting up here on the spikes, and then the rest is running all the way back. And we can see that you might even say that we've got some of this red veining coming up here along the spikes that's maybe making him more aggressive, maybe less of a tracker now and much more of a hunter in terms of the wolf's utility. Now coming to the crow is fully taken over. He's a much smaller body, obviously, so this red secondary evolution has a much easier time infecting the crow. So you can see here, once again, sort of moving with this bursting tendril look, we have this bursting secondary mouth coming out of the crow here, as well as already these mandibles that are coming off the side. Sort of predator-esque in a way. The idea of just sort of opening up, peeling back, and bursting forward is the motion and the energy I was trying to get, which works really well for this dynamic flying crow. Besides that, multiple yellow eyes again in the head, and we have some nice bone spurs and spines coming out off the wings and off the back of the spine again. So, trying to just keep very clear, concise design concepts and keep the themes and the sculpting style pretty consistent across the board. So that's the crow right there. And also, this would just be terrifying flying at you. Imagine thinking like you have an extra foot or two away and then this guy spits this out and grabs you. That's terrifying. That's awful. All right, moving on. We have a couple custom hands and weapons here. The very first one is on the left side here. We have this red tendril hand. This is based off of two tendrils that I pulled off the Poison Marvel Legends figure that came out a couple years back. And then obviously did some hand sculpting for this right hand here. And the idea is just that it's sort of coming out of his hand or maybe bursting out from his wrist. And he's got these two long tendrils running out forward now. I've marbled that with a little bit of black paint just to get some dynamic movement in there. I think that turned out really, really nice. So there we go. We have this hand. We'll put that on the figure later. On top of the bladed fist hand that we have on the left side, we also have more of a command pointing infected hand here. Once again, working with the bone spurs and those really, really nice claw details. I like this very, very thin bladed edge for this thumb particularly. I really like that angle, as well as his pointer finger. It's got some really nice dynamic angles there. And you can see we have more of that red veining starting to run through this hand as well. Last but not least, we have his two weapons. We have his pump shotgun here. That's been fully repainted, as well as you can see it's starting to get infected too. We've got some green wrapping its way around. And my idea here was that at this stage of the infection, he's still in full control of it. And once again, he doesn't know that it's harmful. So he's actually used this infection and the ability to remold these organic bits to actually create himself a little extra iron sight on his shotgun. So he's created an iron sight. Sorry, I realize I'm not centered with the camera. My bad. He's got this nice little green iron sight that he's notched up to line up with his shotgun to help him aim a little bit more. And likewise, we have his revolver, this time wrapped in the red parasite. And sort of once again, kind of creating a little iron sight with this tendril. This one's a little bit more for fun, but adding some dynamic movement into the way it wraps around the gun here. So there you go. That's his revolver. Alternatively, he also has a bunch of just spare hands from the Crow figure. We don't really need to talk about these, but I am leaving him also with the semi-automatic, whatever caliber this is. I don't know what gun this is offhand. Someone will tell me in the comments, but he's got his handgun here. He's got his little dagger, as well as his lighter for his cigarettes. I was thinking about making a cigar accessory, but realistically, there was no good head to fit it with, so I ended up foregoing that. So coming back to the figure now, let's talk a little bit just about the design of the body itself. So I made the coat a permanent fixture of the character. I didn't want to leave it as an option coming on or off. A, it just adds so much aura to the character. But B, if I wanted to do this infected arm, the customer and I had to lock on to whichever design we wanted more. Did we want him to just have the shirt, or did we want the jacket as well? Because once I sculpted this, we are locked into place. We can't do anything. So we ended up working with the leather jacket. I sculpted this whole arm here, and we'll dive into the details. Really, really organic looking sculpt. I wanted to create this very flowy motion here. And almost that like the arm itself was breathing. And so you can see we have all these little yellow dots here, not necessarily eyes, but just the idea of movement and motion and getting different textures in. We can see we have these longer lines that end up getting highlighted in red, as well as these more smaller dot and divots that ended up picking up in yellow. So once again, trying to keep with a very clear design language overall across the whole character. And then it comes up to a shoulder pad here, which is a full custom piece. I sculpted originally just a smooth curved piece of sculpt, and then ended up layering it and tiering it with extra detail over the top. And that is connected on an elastic band that links up inside the jacket on the shoulder, which allows him to move his arm up, and everything flexes across with it. You can see we keep full range of articulation there. We do end up seeing a little bit of the skin tone of the shoulder in there, but that's inevitable. I can't really do anything about that. And then we have this other sculpted piece with more like little teeth coming up around the top of the jacket there, just to continue the sculpt and try to keep it as seamless and smooth as possible. And then I added in a little bit of extra sculpting here under the shirt so that it's really weaved its way in and through. And I like how that, even though it's separated by this actual jacket piece, it looks like it flows very nicely across the whole figure. On top of that, the Crow figure has this whole black, like, leather vinyl wrap across his midsection. I don't know why that's actually a part of the Crow design, but for us, I reused it as bandages. So these got fully repainted with Angelus leather paint and then weathered. And so you can see up here, he's got some bullet holes. He's been shot a couple times. Clearly not too bothered by it because he's still moving and grooving. But I wanted to repurpose those as well. The pants got completely repainted to look like jeans. And this is with a number of, sapphire blue mixed with white and mixed with black in different shades to get those highlights and lowlights of the jean fabric. This belt here is from I forget which G.I. Joe figure it is, but it's from a G.I. Joe figure here. You can see repainted with leather brown. We got some nice gold and bronze detailing up on these little belt buckle emblems, some nice gunmetal hardware up on the little rivets. And then coming down to the boots, more gunmetal detailing, in the little ringlets there, as well as some nice, dirty, dusty brown paint. The lighting is actually making it come off a little bit more glossy than it is. It's a bit more matte in hand than this. And then you can see laces have also been picked out in black on both boots. So that's just a very quick overview of the character. I say quick, this video has been 20 minutes already, but I think this is just such a fun project and work that I've been able to do. I think the fun part about some of these commissions is just how free flow and free form it is. Really being able to talk with the customer, experiment with different design ideas, and come up with something that is ultimately super, super unique, both in terms of figure customizing as well as playing with a bunch of different themes, because we have this sort of cowboy, bounty hunter, symbiote, infected character. Super, super unique. Let's slap another head on there. We'll throw the battle mask on too. Like, check that out, man. That's so, so sweet. And then just for the final frame, let's get his wolf in there. I don't know where I'll put the crow. We'll have the crow flying in the back, and we'll get crow flying in too. Very cool. All right, guys, thank you for checking out this review. I don't have any news for you guys. It's just been a busy time in life. I have been really only working on customs on the weekends, which is why this one took so long to come out. But I'm still around. I'm still alive, still making figures. It's just been a little bit. So sorry for the lack of content in the last couple months, but still trying to stay active and find a balanced life. And sometimes that just means a couple less YouTube videos get made. Thank you all for watching the video. Once again, I hope you like it, and always happy to be here, make content. Just grateful for just the platform and opportunity to do this. It's so crazy to have a hobby where I can post on social media and you guys actually care about the art I make. It's so cool. Yeah, very grateful for you all. Check out the Instagram, Tosh_customs. That's where I post more updates, but honestly, it's been pretty quiet and pretty dead recently, so I'm sorry about that once again. But I'll catch y'all later. Take care, and thank you so much. Bye.